What the heck?
Wow.
All right, that's kind of a bad thing. Why is it throwing us an error on recording?
But Ustream's having a problem with something.
Just makes me tired all over.
What happens if you stop broadcasting and then... Well, now it says stop recording, so it's working, right?
Now it's recording.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. We're going to start. Hopefully it'll work.
No error this time.
It's time for Dart Talk. Brought to you by thedartzone.com. Stay in the zone. TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics. And Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
Alrighty, welcome to Dart Talk.
Welcome.
Whatever
Took a while.
day. December.
December 4th, 3rd.
This is what I have you for.
It is December 4th.
December 4th, 2013. Steve Poncielman with Mystery Mark.
I
Dart
forgot
Talk.
to check. Sorry.
Brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
DartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks, Windy City Fabricators, Redwood Darts. Hello to everybody in the chat room. Happy holidays,
Yeah.
right? Are we part of the
They
war
just
on
started.
Christmas now, or what?
Yeah,
I don't
we're,
know.
Christmas music is on the radio.
Yeah, we'll have to get some Christmas music
lights are
for
hanging already. Of course, they're hanging
Christmas
before.
time is here.
They're hanging before Thanksgiving. Yeah, you really should get like a Christmas bumper.
Before we get in any trouble, we'll disclaim any and all things. Okay, that didn't work.
Individually or collectively, those of our sponsors, co-sponsors, wannabe hosts, hearing-impaired critics, or those with a penchant for attitudinal dysfunction. We at Dart Talk strive to provide you, the listener, with an educational, entertaining, and fun-filled experience each and every week. If after the show you, the listener, find yourself feeling uneducated, unentertained, and or bored, we at Dart Talk consider that your own problem.
Okay, so disclaimers out of the way. Got off
That's
to a
good.
rolling start. A lot to get to.
Yeah.
There's a lot to preview. This is this is a big month for darts. You've got the PDC World Championship,
Right.
which is the be all and end all. Lakeside's after that, which is the afterthought organization, right? BDO Championship. A lot of good players. We got Jimmy Widmer going, so we'll preview that in the coming weeks. But before that, even is the Soft Tip World Championship.
Right.
Which, quite a few Americans going over there. We're going to go over some bracketology on that one because, drum roll, somebody's
Everything to do
actually going to allow wagering on the
Ooh,
Soft Tip World
there you
Championship,
go.
which I want to talk about
Right.
in a number of different ways. So we got that. We have results from a couple weeks ago. We have Buckeye Open
Right.
results.
That happened the same weekend of New Orleans.
It was the same weekend
We
as
just
New
didn't
Orleans.
have the results.
So, and then you were asking me before the show if it was the Cherry Picker Open, which I can't believe you said that.
Well,
I mean,
I didn't
after all the grief I took.
Not only that, I asked
Well,
you off
look,
air. I didn't think you were going to bring it up and throw me under the bus like that, but
Well,
it was just a question. I mean,
some of those buses have high clearance. You could fit
Yeah,
a lot of people
yeah.
under that bus. So
It
we're
was just a
kidding, of
question.
course. Yeah, we're kidding, of course. How do you pass up a tournament in your own backyard?
yeah, that's what we talked about. It's-
And again,
It's hard to do.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I would prefer things to be a certain way, and I understand that people don't agree with me on something like this. And at some point, I'm gonna really make a calculated effort to influence some of this stuff.
well, I mean,
But
I think
I'm not
you
gonna
would
do
be.
it now.
I think you
Right.
would be hard pressed too, though, if they actually had specify a well-run tournament in your backyard.
Oh,
You would have a hard time
Have we ever
Going-
had one of those?
That's what I'm saying. But just hypothetically speaking, if there was one, would you not have a hard time going to?
It
some-
depends. I mean, it depends because the Buckeye Open, they also have their like Sunday All-Star thing going, which is like a lot of state pride and Ohio's got loads of good players. I don't know how much they travel really, but I can see why some people wouldn't travel.
Right.
I mean, we'll get to all that. No, but we have results. Thanks. They sent us the results to the Buckeye, so we'll have those. What else is on tap for today?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank Sean singing in the rain
You're doing
For-
your Sean Rain imitation
for the
shades,
the shades,
for the Royden Lamb lookalike shades.
which apparently
Can you even see through those things?
they're very dark.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna
they're-
say. I saw you
I
kind
have
of
a hard time
looking over the top of them.
reading the screen. But anyway, that's first.
We're building up a collection of Sean Rain sunglasses. So we got 2 pair now.
We do have to,
We'll
along
have
with
to
the
get at least
fact.
one more.
Well, yeah, you maybe I'll wear the other pair next week.
Well, we'll see what tournament we'll get them at. Actually, there's
You haven't
a note.
returned either one, have you?
No,
Okay.
no. Well, I brought some to give him in New Orleans, and instead of giving them to him, I took another pair.
If
with
you
me,
run
so-
into him long enough, I could be wearing a different set of shades every week.
Congrats to him. Apparently, he's doing a TV interview tonight,
Oh, good for him.
so he's getting some local pub, which is good. I mean, he's basically up to #1 in Canada, which is pretty good. And just so you guys know, we're going to have some changes to the show coming up. Week after week after week. There was one change I wanted to do this week. We're not going to have time, but just so you know now, if you go to the Ustream page where you watch the show, the previous show will always be there until we do the next show, and then it'll just get replaced. They're kind of changing the way they do things on Ustream, so it's just one more way to listen to the show. You can also still go to YouTube and go to Dart Talk US. We have a channel there with all our old videos. Mm-hmm. A lot of them up there. At some point, we'll put a catalog so it's easier to find some shows. I'm still trying to answer some emails about, hey, what show did you do this? What show did you do that? There's descriptions, but, I don't always have time to make them really exhausting because I'm exhausted from doing the show.
There you go.
And then the audio podcasts, of course, are always available on iTunes, on Stitcher.com, and on TuneIn.com. And then links to all this stuff is on our webpage, which is darttalk.us. And we're making progress on the website. We won't mention any more about that today, as far as the website goes.
Right.
But there's going to be...
It's coming.
We're having a bandwidth problem here, and I don't know why. So you guys that are listening live may have to, maybe refresh something if your screen freezes. I don't know what's going on with the cable in Chicago the last few days. Like, my satellite TV's been on the blink for 3 days. And my internet connection's been off and on. My phone calls have been bad. So I don't know if we're getting, I don't know what's going on. But anyway we're going to continue the show.
To answer your question fully, we're also going to preview the DPNY ladies.
Yeah, we'll preview
We're
the
gonna do that.
yeah, because this is again, I'm starting to think that this is one of the reasons that I can't really support the ADO anymore. Is everyone has their year-end championship, and what does the ADO have? They have nothing. Mm-hmm. They have nothing, literally nothing, like zero. So I just don't get it. You got Jimmy Widmer and Darren Young that are going to go play overseas. There should be a big American tournament, long format 01, for these guys to get ready. What are they supposed to do now?
Yeah.
For the two. Jimmy's got to wait a month. What's he going to do? I mean,
Practice.
he probably played the Diddle Tour in Long Island over the weekend, but now what's he going to do? Just practicing and playing legs with whoever.
Right. It's not the same.
It's not the same. It's not good preparation. I mean, Jimmy Widmer and Darren Young, if you're listening, come to Chicago. I'll beat on you for a couple of days and
There you go.
get you guys, we'll tenderize you and get you ready. And if you get by me, you should be ready, right? That's kind of,
Well,
talking a little smack there. But
interesting thought process. But
well, no, I mean, it's one of those things where, Jimmy, because he's playing this DPNY thing that Anthony Eugenio organized, and they have like a consistent, at least once a month, high-level, long-format 501 event, local, it's better than, nothing,
Yeah.
I mean, they've got good players, they're keeping stats and stuff. I mean, so I would think that would prepare him, but not as well as Darren's going to be prepared by playing all the big money, long format 501 stuff that he's been winning all year. So I'm really looking for Darren to hit something. We'll preview the PDC next week.
Yes.
This week we're going to preview the soft tip because it's coming up sooner. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff to preview, and then we'll do. And then we got to announce our schedule change.
Yeah, we
right?
got a tough schedule coming up because Christmas and New Year's falls.
Christmas and
on
New
the
Year's
show.
falls on a Wednesday, so
Right.
obviously we won't be doing the show on that Wednesday.
Correct.
So what we're going to do
You can.
is
Have at it, pal.
well, no, because New Year's Day I'll be watching the World Championship.
Okay.
So then we could do a show the day after. That's Thursday.
Right.
And we can, cover the World Championship and then preview Lakeside, and maybe we can get a hold of Jimmy and
Right.
maybe get him on that show on January 2nd if we can get a hold of him. I mean, I'm also looking for a workaround for Skype, and I think I might have found one, but I haven't had time to test it. So it'd be nice if we could just take normal phone calls.
Well,
as
most
opposed
likely
to-
the guess is we'll be doing both those shows on Thursday.
Well, yeah, we'll do a show the 26th.
The 26th and the 2nd.
and the 2nd, but then we'll stay on Wednesdays until what, the 18th?
Correct.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
You guys all got that?
It'll be on the website in case you missed it.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Oh.
Actually, we could probably put it on the website. We could put announcements like that on
yeah.
the website. I'll
Okay.
post it on the Facebook page and everything. But just for the people that are listening today to this show, we're on Wednesdays until the 26th and
until
January
yeah.
2nd.
Well, until the 8th. The last one is the 18th, yes.
Right, and then the following week, obviously, is Christmas. So, and we should have a lot to talk about on those shows
Yeah, there's a
because
lot going on.
we have our awards too. So we'll
We
next
do have
week,
the end of the year results rewards. That is.
yeah. Next week we will announce all the nominees for all the awards. Since there's a tournament in Savannah this weekend, and I'm pretty sure that's it. I can't think of any more tournaments that are going on. There's no way that we can announce Player of the Year until after we see the outcome of the soft tip World Championship.
Right.
We don't have to wait for the PDC thing. We can use Darren's results from last year's PDC for this year's. Right? I mean, hopefully he's still going.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, that'd make him
Right.
kind of a lock. I mean, and then we actually are going to have one new category this year, but we'll talk about that next week. Let's take our first break, and then we'll come back and do results from Columbus, from the Buckeye Open. You'll listen to Dart Talk with Mark and Steve. We'll be right back. Oh, God. Hello.
What happened?
The views and opinions expressed on Dart Talk are those of the hosts. They in no way should be misrepresented, misinterpreted, or made to claim that the universe is against you, your family, your city, or the darting community at large.
Okay, back for the second quarter, brought to you by the
You're
Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
The DartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks, Windy City Fabricators and Redwood Darts. Redwood Darts coming soon to a website near you. They don't have their own website yet, but, one can only go so far.
Right.
Just to respond to a couple of things in the chat room before we get to the Buckeye results, I've stayed off Facebook. I've been pretty good. I mean, there was so much stuff getting posted that I found personally objectionable that I just stopped for months, right? And then in New Orleans, somebody told me that Joe Chaney, Chainsaw, you remember Chainsaw?
Yeah.
Who is actually is going to be nominated, one of the nominees for Most Outstanding Performance of 2013. His Sweeping the Cricket in Virginia Beach got nominated. Spoiler alert. Anyway, he had a thread that eventually had 500 comments. And, I'm playing in New Orleans, and I've got my smartphone. I can't go through 500 comments. So I posted something about how I'm going to catch up on this, and I wasn't really happy. I only read 15 of them, and I was like, what is this? So I was going to have a nice rant prepared. I took notes and everything, but I left the notes on the laptop at home, so I have no notes for my rant. Because I said I was going to name names, because there's a couple of people I was really like, are you serious?
That is true.
Are you honestly saying this out loud? Because I'm going to rip you like you haven't been ripped.
Yes.
Which,
you
I
alluded
don't like
to that.
Well, you know what? I don't like to do it. I don't
think
like
you
ripping
alluded
people.
to that last week, too.
Look, I don't like ripping people, and I don't rip people personally. But, there are people in the darting community that, for one reason or another, have their minds set on certain things that, to me, are illogical and destructive if you're looking at the long-term growth of the sport and the long-term promotion of a sport. And there are people that are, supposedly promoters. They consider themselves promoters, and they're hurting their own sport. And I've ripped on the ADO enough. They're always saying that they promote the sport, and I'm just like, I don't know what world or what kind of education these people have, but my definition is different. Maybe it was halfway to my PhD in a Catholic education. I mean, I don't know. We have different dictionaries, whatever. Anyway, but so I took some notes because it was actually, when I finally had time, and it took an hour and a half to read 500 comments on this one guy's thread that started out with something, and, this thread went
Something simple?
Yeah, which, I wasn't terribly fond of either, but okay, fine. I mean, I like that people have opinions, and I like that people state their opinions, and this was the first time I went through a 500 thread or a 500 comment thread on Facebook where people were actually civil. They weren't getting personal. They weren't being like blah, 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 blah. People would state their case, and then somebody would state their case, and then they would change the topic and then go to a different topic. And I listed all the topics, and there were almost 20 topics that they covered.
Really?
Every single one of them that we've covered on the show.
Oh.
So it was going to be kind of a nice review thing, and I was actually going to give props to a couple of people. And I wrote down their names. I wrote down a couple of comments that I really wanted to squeeze somebody on, and that's all sitting on my laptop at home. So we will do that next week, though.
The perfect place.
So anybody in the chat room who's dying to hear me, go off on some people, you got to tune in next week. And, sorry to lie, but, it's kind of my bad.
Is your player of the year steel tip only?
No,
Okay.
It never has been. The player of the year has never been steel tip only.
Chat.
Okay. Well, okay. Again, I am not going to spend any time defending myself that I'm anti-soft tip or pro steel or whatever. I mean, I've said what I've said, and I stand by everything I've said, and I think I've been pretty fair. And when it came down to the best stroke, we gave it to Paul Lim. What was that, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Right? And isn't he primarily a soft tip player?
Pretty
so
much.
I mean, I don't feel like I have any bias towards soft tip.
Right.
The fact that I don't play it is mostly due to geography. I went out and played the Darts Live stuff that I could get to.
Yeah.
I went to Vegas. I played stage 6. I played the Americas Tour. I got convertible darts now, so I can change the points and stuff and not have to swap my darts out when
Hence
I play
the
soft tip.
definition of convertible darts.
Hey, soft tip's a different animal. I mean, soft tip is like, it's an adjustment. It's a different kind of a game, but it's still, basically, throwing a dart and trying to hit what you're aiming at. So in that sense, it's the same. But I don't really want to talk about soft tip. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in the chat room, and I can't really look at it. Let's do
No,
the,
nothing really.
All right, well, let's do the Buckeye results. The Buckeye.
Ooh, we want to do the Buckeye results.
Yeah, the Buckeye Open was held 2 weekends ago. It's like for most people, it's a Friday night, all day Saturday deal.
The Sandbagger Open? No, I'm just kidding.
Sandbagger. That's a handicap thing.
Oh,
There's
is that
no
what it is?
handy.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry. What did we-
sandbagging's
what-
handy.
what did
Cherry
I ask
picker?
you? I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
I forgot what I asked you earlier.
Come on.
No.
I mean, to be honest,
it's
okay,
just a
okay.
joke.
Here's where I'm coming from on this, so I don't get misunderstood
It's
and
just a
get a
joke.
nasty gram from anybody named Gordon Dixon or anything. But here's the deal: it's like if you're a prominent enough player where you're sponsored and you're high up in the rankings and stuff like that, and you're interested in seeing like a big event tour. I don't want to call it a pro tour because that's a whole nother, who's a pro, who's not a pro. It's kind of a semantic issue at this point, since everybody I know that plays darts, with the exception of one or two, have a job.
Right.
So, but if you're interested in growing, and again, you got to take kind of a long-term view, and this was kind of one of the things that I tried to get across to Gordon way back, whenever it was. You got to support these events. Now, the fact that the NWDS was the same weekend as the Buckeye was unfortunate, because I'm sure that there were a number of people playing in Columbus that would have gone to New Orleans
Probably. Yeah.
if it wasn't for the fact that they've got this annual traditional
that they've all been going
serious
to for
tournament,
years.
in their backyard. So at some point, do you support the local thing or do you support the national thing? What I would like to see is the very, very top players should have been in my mind. It's just my opinion. In my mind, they all should have been in New Orleans. Anybody who's interested in rankings and anybody who wants to go to sponsors saying, I'm a big deal in darts and stuff, should have been in New Orleans, right? You can't blame them for being in Columbus. I understand
Correct.
that you would be in Columbus playing in a local tournament, and you have every right to, but I just think that if all the dart players took the long view and everybody agreed, look, we need to grow the sport. We need to grow the sport in terms of prominence. We need to grow the sport in terms of quality of play. We need to grow the sport in terms of quality of tournaments, quality of events. The NWDS was very successful insofar as putting on an event that was watchable, in a number of ways. Well, all the really talented players need to come out so people can see what the talented players do.
Right, but
laboring in absolute anonymity in Columbus doesn't help the sport.
But your
grow,
tournament wasn't. Your
right?
tournament had a high amount of high-level players.
Right, but we needed more. We needed all of them. You need all. The thing that makes the PDC work. One of the things that makes the PDC work is that all the great players play in the PDC.
Right.
They're out there, not every single week, but pretty much every week. They don't have the travel problems we do here. It's easier to get around.
Or the
I'm
scheduling
pretty sure.
conflicts.
Well, and that's the other thing. I mean, so like you look at some of the guys, and we'll do the results, and you'll hear names of people that would do very well, like Nick Lindberg. I see his name. I mean, Nick Lindberg was a seed at the NWDS in Vegas in NWDS number 2. I mean, here's a guy who's had success in this tournament. I could understand him not being in New Orleans, but I just wish there was
Right. You're looking
that
at
everybody
the
sort
overall
of looked
picture.
at it. Yeah,
Right.
if everybody looked at it this way, like, look, let's all, for the sake of argument, let's say all the really talented players make a commitment for 2 years that they are going to support this effort to put on big-time darts in America.
Mm-hmm.
All of them. Everybody get on the same page and see where it goes. And if after 2 years it doesn't go anywhere, then fine. Okay, back to the diddle tour. Right? At least you gave it a shot. But for people, you got something that's just starting out from nothing, and you got people, bad-mouthing it. Oh, well, you only had this many people and this many people and this many people, and I didn't show up, and I played here anyway, and I guess, that makes me smart or something. I don't buy that at all.
Well, that argument's actually kind of stupid. Because
Well, I wasn't going to say that, but
but what you're
Yeah.
that I mean, just that comment,
well, yeah,
is just
I was
because now all of
paraphrasing
a sudden
someone
you're,
there, but-
right? You're paraphrasing that they're not supporting the bigger aspect of the whole thing
yeah,
by
and,
saying it's stupid, by even saying paraphrasing, saying like, well, you only had X amount of people. and I was still able to play here. Well, if everybody has that attitude, that's a defeatist attitude.
Again, it's the players have to get on the same page.
Right.
Is basically what I'm saying. And the top players, if you want to have big time darts in America, the top players have to support it. When they started the PDC, the top players all left the BDO. They didn't really leave it; they just started a new thing and then found out that they couldn't come back. Okay, whatever.
Well, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it doesn't have to be that way. Right? There's room for everyone to play. And this is why I wanted to talk about the amateur game. But
right,
let's do the results and then ask me about the amateur game. Okay?
All right.
So here are the results from the 2013 Buckeye Open.
Men's singles top 4: Steve Evangelista, Gordon Dixon, second place Nick Lindberg, and Larry Butler wins that. Ladies singles cricket top 4: Sue Sells and Marliese Keel, Kathy Solway second, and Trish Gressick first place. Blind draw 501. Top 4: Paul Jones, Chris Hughes, Corey Nichols, Alan Mastel, Aaron Russell, Chris McFarland second, with Nick Lindberg and Jim Workman first. Your men's doubles 501. Top 4 goes to Mark Hilbert, Drew Matlock, Steve Evangelista, and Pat Jurison. Second place goes to Paco and Cujo.
Right, Dan Lobby
Dan
Jr.
Lobby
and Senior. Yeah.
Okay. And then Gordon Dixon and DJ Sayer are your first place men's doubles 501. Ladies doubles 501. Top 4: Jamie Clark, Jennifer Ellert, Kim Keller, Kay Hoover, with Trish Gressick, Marliese Keel in second, and Kathy Salway and Angie Maxwell winning that.
Okay, congrats to all them.
Your ladies doubles cricket top 4: Jamie Clark, Jennifer Ellert, Kelly R, and Cassie T. If that means anything to anybody.
Maybe they're rap stars. I mean, I can't do anything with that.
Kathy Salway and Angie Maxwell second, with Trish Gressick and Marliese Keel your winners there. You have men's doubles cricket, Paco and Cujo again, with Nick Lindberg and Tim Nickel top 4. Aaron Russell's Seth Nossinger for second place. DJ Sayer and Gordon Dixon win the men's doubles cricket, and ladies singles 501. Jesse Wigand, Marliese Keel for top 4. Angie Maxwell second place, with Trish Gressick first. Men's singles 501. Seth Nossinger and Greg Fontaine for top 4. Dan Lobby Sr. and then Dan Lobby Jr. second place, with the senior Cujo beating him for men's singles 501. And your final event, mixed triples 601. Top 4: Frank, Bill, and Pani. Joe Hendricks, Shelley Green, and Troy Cox. Those are your top 4. Your second place goes to Betty Van Kerkoli, Johan Van Kerkoli, and Mike Gilliam. First place goes to Trish Gressick, Brian Plum, and Kevin Yasinchak.
All right, congrats to all them.
Well, those are the hardest names for mixed triples I've ever seen in my life anyway.
Well, it just looks bad. And if you look at that list, there's at least, I'm thinking, at least 10 people that played in the first NWDS that was in Dayton.
Right.
So, I'm looking at the numbers. They got 137 people playing in the singles. They had 100 men playing in New Orleans. That's only 37 more for a local tournament. So, I don't know how you can criticize the numbers when you're importing an entire field to New Orleans. I don't get that argument either. But,
right.
But no, here's the thing that I'm thinking today. Where are we on break time? We got time. Okay, so the amateur game. I can't remember who I was texting with on this, but look at it this way. And again, I'm trying to look long term here. Look at the Minuteman Dart League, 6,000 supposed active members, and they have a tournament where a couple of hundred show up. That's 5,800 people that didn't show up, right? Those 5,800 people that didn't show up at a tournament are the potential educated dart fans that you can capture if you start streaming these matches where it's basically online television, like they did in New Orleans, right? Every single league, I would bet, well, I wouldn't bet, but I would guess that almost every single league player that plays in a league, once a week, 30 weeks a year or something, would be interested in seeing darts on TV. Especially with American players.
Well, not only that, I think
playing in America.
I think it would be interesting if you set it up whereas you know your local bar that's having dart league there, just played darts on the TV in the corner while you were,
Well, yeah, well-
because you got a bunch of people in league doing nothing but watching, and they're not really watching the match anyway. Because and just have some darts, have a live streamed event, or
something.
not even if it's live, but whatever, a replay.
I
And
go to
get people interested in watching it on TV like that.
Yeah, I go to sports bars where the waitresses don't even know games are on.
Oh, absolutely.
And nothing irritates me more.
Well, you go to a sports
Right.
bar and they had the Saturday game on ABC, and then at 7:00 the news is on, and then
And they don't change it.
they don't change it.
Yeah, to
And
the
they
other
have
game.
No
And-
idea
and
until
then-
somebody asks.
How do you work in a sports bar and not know what sports are on? I mean, to be honest with you.
That annoys me,
But,
too.
there are dart bars that literally have no Wi-Fi,
Mm-hmm.
that don't have, like, HD TV. I mean, I'm thinking of Dies Den in Chicago. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like, how do you have a bar with no Wi-Fi in this day and age?
Right.
You even need Wi-Fi for your golden tea, right?
Actually,
Or something.
the two major dart bars in Chicago. The other one only has cable.
Yeah. And so it's kind of like it's an uphill battle for the old guard, right? The old guard of darts doesn't understand streaming, and they don't understand anything modern. And they want to write stuff down, and they want to fax things, and they want to run their tournaments with slips on a board and stuff, and they don't want to use computers.
Yeah.
And that is slowly changing, but it's not changing fast enough for me, as far as some
Right.
of this stuff goes. But it's typical of the kind of thinking that is keeping the sport back, right? There are too many people in charge that have done things that, were cutting edge 30 years ago and that are now like totally archaic, and they just keep doing it the same way.
Well, and they're
I guarantee you, go on the Diddle Tour next year,
They
look
think
at the
everything's fine.
flyers, and most of the flyers are going to be like a number changed here, a number changed there, and change the date, and everything is the same year after year after year after year. At some point, you can call it tradition, but I call it laziness. Right? So how are you going to grow a sport when nobody wants to change anything?
Right.
Right? That's the problem. So my solution is getting to the 5,800 people that didn't go to the tournament. How do you get to those people? You get to them by streaming matches online, and you get to them by presenting matches online that they can watch. It's not hard to put them up in a bar. You run an HDMI cable from a laptop to a monitor, and then, you need Wi-Fi to get the laptop. You know what I'm saying? But I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like $10,000 worth of technology. They've got in New York for this DPNY. I mean, they've got like permanent cameras for streaming this stuff.
Right.
And so, they're way ahead of the curve. And I'll watch. I mean, it's not going to be like the high quality stream you got out of New Orleans, but it's watchable. You could.
Well, some bars you go into don't even have HDTV, so what's the difference? I mean, it's still watchable.
Well, I don't know. I just know what it's like in Chicago, but that's
still
also
watchable.
why the Chicago League is like dead.
But he's got a
Right.
good point. He says the U.S. Has the geographic issue of we're getting top players together could prove.
Yeah, I
tough.
fixed that.
Well, yeah.
I fixed the geographic issue.
well,
Did I mention it?
No,
Oh,
but unless
okay.
you have a select few tournaments a
Oh
year.
no, here I got this. I
But
got
this is what we talked
No, I
about.
got this all
Oh,
figured
okay,
out.
well
I got
then
this
just
all
go ahead.
figured out.
All right.
Is it time for a break? All right, we'll take a break, and my master solution comes up after. Or did we just take a break? We
No,
did.
we need a break.
All right, we're going to take a break, and my master solution promise right out of the break. First thing we say. You're listening to Dart Talk with Mark and Steve. We'll be right back.
Dart Talk agrees to adhere to the Geneva Convention in treating fairly its prisoners in their war against lackluster darting administration and behaviour.
Okay, back for the second half of Dart Talk, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks, Windy City Fabricators. Okay, so here's the deal. I've solved this geography problem to an extent, and we had a proof of concept in New Orleans. So here's what I'm thinking today. Thinking that all of these on the Diddle Tour, starting at the Ray Chesney in Philly, the second weekend in January, right? You could have a geographical grudge match at every single stop on the Diddle Tour between January and, let's say, August. Mm-hmm. Right? 16 matches. Well, 15, because I'll count the one that I played against Dead Money in New Orleans, right? All the matches, same format. It's a race to 16, and somebody's got to have a smartphone and put the scores in so you end up with stats. So I'm sitting around spitballing what matches people would want to see that are geographic. For instance, in Philly, you could have Bill Davis play Buddy Lessig.
Okay.
In Savannah this weekend, you could have Robbie Phillips play Roger Carter. These are just examples of matches that I personally would want to see. Or in Philly, you could actually have Darren Young play Jimmy Widmer if Jimmy's back from Lakeside. The two guys that went overseas knocking it out. We can promote these the same way we promoted the Delfino match with me and Dead Money, right? And there was a lot of interest in that. I mean, it wasn't, you'll probably get a better quality match with Darren and Jimmy than you did with me and Danny, but, that's not really important. If you did 16 of these at all these different tournaments, so you could have Larry Butler play Steve Brown at some tournament around
What does
Ohio.
that have to do?
I'm getting to it. What you're going to do is we're going to promote these exhibition matches in conjunction with these tournaments. So you're promoting both the players and the tournaments that they're going to, have these matches in, right? So that's 16 matches. So you've got 8 winners in August. So then you have 4 more matches at tournaments between August and, say, the end of September. And then I will tell you right now, I can get sponsors to put up, like, let's say $2,000. We'll go $2,000 winner take all, and then the final 4 will meet somewhere, maybe like in New York at the DPNY, and they'll do the semis and the final the same night, right? Just like a.
What does this have to do with getting all the top tier players at a specific?
Because it's geography. We're conquering geography here. So what we're doing instead, we're going to have one tournament that takes place all year, but everybody's talking about having these regionals like the ADO does, where you get 8, 10, 12, 16 guys in one region, and then whoever wins that moves on. I say start with 2. Start with 2 people in the same region, and then we'll see how it goes. And I guarantee you, if this is done well, if we can stream some of the matches, but we keep track of all the stats, and we cover them like you can cover a sport, right?
Okay.
By the end of the year, when you get down to the final 4, people will be glued to see who wins, right?
Sure.
And we're talking about no entry fee from the players. So like at the Bloodshot Open in Columbus, DJ and Gordon can play each other. See which one comes through.
I'm still missing.
We're
the
conquering
point.
Geography because you're actually having a tournament.
Geography. The question of geography was you were trying to get people from going, instead of staying in Ohio and going to New Orleans. You're trying to get all the major dart players to play in New Orleans. Now you're talking about a bunch of 16 different tournaments with having the 2 best players in each one of those tournaments. How does that get all your best players to the major tournaments each weekend, like New Orleans, instead of staying at home? Because now they're staying.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Now they're staying at home.
Right. Well, no, they're not staying at home.
Well, they're at home because that's where the tournament is.
Well, no, they're not all going to be at home.
Right.
But they'll be at similar tournaments. Jimmy lives in New York. He doesn't live in Philly. Darren doesn't live in Philly. Darren lives
Right,
in
but how does that get
the woods.
the top
somewhere.
50 players at that tournament?
Well, you're going to end up with the top 32 players playing a tournament where no one has to have any extra travel. That's one aspect. The other thing is to start something new that is televisable.
Right.
Right? So this is all leading to one single match somewhere, right? The idea here is that more people will want to get involved. If you do it this way this year, I guarantee you everybody in, like, let's say Gordon and DJ play each other in Columbus. I guarantee you that all these guys in Ohio, like Kevin Yasinchek and Brian Plum and Nick Lindberg and Timmy Nickel and whoever else that I forgot to mention, whatever. I miss some players because I'm talking off the top of my head. I don't mean to offend anybody. Steve Evangelista and, Ben Belts, whoever. They're going to want in on this sort of thing. So the idea somehow that you're going to start having these like special regional tournaments to feed somebody into a big money event, I say start small and make it where people are begging you to play instead of you begging people to come to your tournament, because that never works. It doesn't work to beg people to come to a tournament. What works is to have a tournament that people want to be in so much they'll beg you to play. Mm-hmm. And this is how I'm proposing we start one, right? We get $2,000 from the sponsors, so the players aren't putting up a dime, right? Okay. And you got the top 32 players knocking heads, and the matches are going to be fascinating. You could have Chris White play Scotty Burnett in California, right? You could have Donnie Joe play Soldier in Texas. You could have Scott Wollaston play John Sison in Louisiana, right? You can have Tom Sawyer play, Blaine Cameron or what, Dave Cameron or something. Or you could get some Canadians to play. You can get Ken McNeil to play Sean Narain in Calgary. Mm-hmm. I mean, think of the possibilities where you're actually having a tournament where you've got great matches and it's not costing anybody a dime to play them. All we have to do is get the stats, and we can cover them the way they used to cover sports in the 40s when it was only on the radio and all you had was a box score. They still talked about the sport, right? So it's a way to conquer the geography and get something going.
Right.
Right? Get something going alongside with all the other stuff that people are doing. I'm hoping, I'm waiting to hear dates on the Americas Tour. I'm waiting to hear what's going on with this, the North American Championship Tour Championship, which is, I thought was supposed to be in next March or something. Waiting on dates for all this stuff. All of these events are like what we want to see. We want to see big events that are televisable. Right. Once you have events that are televisable, doesn't it follow that eventually they'll be televised one way or another?
Well, yeah, of course.
Right? So, because the Diddle Tour doesn't work. Doesn't work for me, and it doesn't work for the players, even the players that, want to support it. It's not, you're not going anywhere by going and playing another, Which City Open. Mm-hmm. Hey, great. Have fun. Go at it. You're going to go play a $10,000 tournament in New York. Great. Go at it. There's nothing you can make of it. You can't make anything out of best of three, diddle every leg. You can't do anything with that. And if you look at how the PDC has grown over like 15 or 20 years, there's a model that works.
Well, yeah, right. Because
the problem
they
is,
have major tournaments throughout the year, correct?
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. I mean, they have tournaments that go 3 or 4 days where, people travel, and if they're out in the first round, they just go back home. It's way too expensive to do it that way. We have to make things cheaper for the players. Mm-hmm. This is one way I came up with where I thought it was workable, compelling enough, and completely inexpensive. If Ralph McCool and Chuck Pankow, or Ralph McCool and Jason Brandon are all going to be in Alabama for the Shoot the Moon, they can play a match there. Who's going to be in Syracuse? You can get John Kramer play Jerry Umberger. I don't know. Don't tell me that at any single tournament there isn't one match you could really,
of course there is.
Really want to see. Well, let's
right.
have them then. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Let's have those. As far as like getting everybody together in one place, you got to start somewhere.
As far as the rumor is concerned, I am not calling out Larry Butler.
Who's not calling out Larry Butler?
So somebody heard that Mr. Mark was calling out Larry Butler, and that is not the case.
You're not going to call out Larry?
No, I'm not.
Why not?
If that wouldn't even be the definition of grudge match.
Do you know I got an email from Stevie Wonder's manager? Asking
not.
for Danny Delfino's phone number.
Oh, really?
I think Stevie Wonder wants to call
Okay.
out Danny Delfino.
Maybe-
I didn't know he played, but
Well,
cheap shot.
that would probably be
That
the
was a
same.
cheap shot.
That would probably be the same result as me playing Larry Butler.
But again, the idea here is to get some stuff going. So we'll do a preview now. We'll preview the DPNY ladies because, I mean, here's Anthony Eugenia running around New York, and look what he got going,
Yeah.
right? The same way DPNY has an event every month, one featured match a month, right, at some tournament. Or, every 3 weeks or however it works out to get 15 matches in by August, right? That's like 2 a month. This is totally doable.
Mm-hmm.
Right? All I have to do is round up $2,000 from sponsors. I think I can do that. I'll make some phone calls. Winner take all. What player would say no to this? I mean, I can't imagine a player saying, I don't want in. And then we'll have stats, right? So we'll be able to talk about the match. We'll get these guys on the show. How'd it go? Some of them, maybe they'll be able to stream them.
Right.
If somebody's got the wherewithal to, bring a laptop with Google Play and set it up in a nice spot, okay. It's not going to be television, but it'll be watchable, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Right? Depending on where you put everything. I mean, whatever. That's not really my concern. My concern is getting an event going that doesn't cost anything. I'm all about cheap.
Right.
You
Oh,
see
sure.
you see our show, right?
Who isn't?
So anyway, that was kind of what I was thinking. Anyway, so you guys can, email darttalk@gmail.com with issues and suggestions on this thing, because I actually think it's a pretty good idea. I was excited by it. I'm like, man, this could totally work. Because there were a lot of people that were interested in this, match with me and Danny, and, they're posting, funny pictures and stuff. You could do that for other matches, too. Like Tim Adams against Gary Mawson in Florida, right? Or what about these Chattanooga guys? What about, like, Timmy Bagley against Joe Cheney? I mean, there's good local regional matches
Sure.
that you could set up. And you can't, best of 16's a long match. We might have to, it may not be that they're going to be able to get a board for 2 hours, right? Maybe we'll make it a best of 11 or something. That's a little bit short to me, but, somewhere in there. I don't know. We'll tweak it. Anyway, the DPNY Ladies Grand Finals is this Saturday at McHale's Bar and Grill in Manhattan at 1 p.m. I believe it's in Manhattan. The chat room can correct me
Tell
on that
us
if they're wrong.
otherwise.
I believe it's going to be streamed. It's $1,000 to the winner. And we have seeds. And, it's a relatively long format. The quarters are best of 7. The semis are best of 9. The finals are best of 11. So here are the seeds, and then you tell me who's going to win and who's going to come in second.
Okay.
Okay?
You want to pick the
so
perfecta?
8 seed's Nikki Carey. 7 seed is Audria Garcia. 6th seed is Debbie Burkich. 5th seed, Jackie Clark. 4th seed, Callie West. 3rd seed, Marie McHugh. 2nd seed, Robin Curry. And the top seed, lovely Gloria Gutierrez. Glowbug is the top seed there. Thoughts?
Tough.
Tough? Got the Whisper Twins in there.
Yeah, I know. I see that.
And
I
they
would
are
like
in separate brackets. It's the first thing I looked at there.
Yeah.
I'm like, the Whisper Twins are in separate brackets. Nikki Carey's won one of these things. I know Jackie Clark's really solid. Audria, I don't think I know Audria Garcia. She must only play in New York. And an alternate, Tracy Firetag, who I played with once. Had a great time. We were runners-up in the mixed in Vegas a few years ago. She's first alternate. I guess that's in case somebody doesn't make it.
Well, it's a tough field. I'd like to pick the Whisper Twins to face each other.
Yeah, I'm totally leaning that way. 1 against 8 is Gloria against Nikki Carey,
yeah.
and that's even money, to be honest with you. I mean, Nikki
Really?
Carey's Nikki Carey's pretty solid. I'll take Robin just because I don't know Audria Garcia. Marie McHugh against Debbie Burkich. That's a toss-up. Callie West against Jackie Clark's a tough one, but I think Callie plays more often.
When I first looked at the 8 people, my first pick would have been Callie West.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with you on that. And Robin is runner-up. That's chalk.
Right.
Right. We'll have to see how that works out. We'll report on this. We'll get the results for next week's show. But I'll take Callie with Robin second.
Sounds like
Concur?
a good pick. I concur.
You concur? I hope they stream it. I think
Brian Ross takes Curry.
takes Robin. Well, I like the way Robin played in New Orleans. I thought she had had some spectacular rounds. She took out the 124
Yeah.
and the 107 to end it and stuff, and showed good composure in that. It just seems to me that when she plays Callie usually wins. That's just kind of like what I have in my head. I have no statistics in front of me to back that up, but we've done results for lots of stuff, and it seems like
That's
Callie finishes ahead of Robin more often than Robin finishes
Than
ahead
not.
of Callie. So
right.
not to offend the Whisper twins, but even if we do, we won't really hear them complain.
You're only offending one of them.
Well, it's true, but they're the Whisper twins.
Yeah.
Even if they yell at us, we won't hear them.
Right.
We'll hear the whisper of the wind in the trees. So, just kidding, ladies. Good luck to everybody playing in the DPNY Ladies Championship Tour final this weekend at McHale's Bar and Grill, 1 p.m. for the people that want to go watch, and that's going to be pretty cool. The other thing, we're not on a break yet, are we?
Yeah, we are.
Okay. We'll come back and we'll talk Soft Tip World Championship. You'll listen to Dart Talk with Mark and Steve. We'll be right back.
You are now and forevermore warned that you consume this show at your own risk, and that Dart Talk cannot be brought to justice in any court or by any government, including and not restricted to the grand spaghetti monster of the Triple 20.
Okay, back for the fourth quarter. Dart Talk brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. I'm having a bad show, I guess. I totally went off in some other direction.
It was a different
It
rant.
It wasn't a rant. It didn't
No,
really
different
address
type
what
of
you
rant.
guys were talking about in the chat room. Is like, how do you get all the players to show up at one tournament? Right?
Right.
All the top players show up in one tournament. And there needs to be there's a lot
Well,
of different
the point was it was unless you didn't let me finish the rest of the
God, I interrupted you,
right.
really?
Yeah. The rest of it was unless you have a small amount of tournaments with bigger payouts, which went back to when we started talking about having your four majors, and that was what the text was about. Was basically and that was something like if you could set something up like that, then you would hope, just like in other sports, that you would have your best players showing up at those four tournaments every year, and then you promote it. You can promote it like that.
Well, yeah.
Instead of, and then you wouldn't have to worry about having the backyard tournament against, the NWDS tournament, and because you have four set dates for your major tournaments.
I mean, with all the new stuff that's come down the pike, there's no way that, I mean, there are no free weekends, right? You're always going to be going up against somebody, and we've talked about, some of the logistic problems and stuff like that. But the idea somehow that we're going to take existing tournaments and turn them into something, televisable, the only one that comes close is Virginia Beach so far. In terms of like the scale and how they added the pro singles on Friday and stuff like that. Like Nashville's a great tournament, but their pro singles starts Friday night, and the format's not quite long enough. They don't really get enough top players. They get all the good locals, and they get a lot of traveling people. But again, we'll have to deal with this another time. But there's ways to get players to show up at tournaments. For instance, if you look at any other sport, sponsors tell you where to play, right? I mean, sponsors tell you play this, don't play this, play this one, don't play this one. So I'm thinking of like starting to talk to everybody's sponsor in general and say, look, this is what we want to do. We want your players showing up
at this,
and if your players
tournament
don't show up, I mean, there can't be like serious repercussions. I mean, aside from the fact that we could rip them on the show and say that they're not top players because they don't show up and play other top players and call them cherry pickers. I mean, what else can we do? Right? I mean, there needs to be a concerted effort, though, to get all the top players together 3 or 4 times a year, right? And how are you going to do that?
Yeah.
You can't, an existing structure can't do it, right? I mean, all like Virginia Beach and Nashville and, some of the big tournaments that are, ADO sanctioned, BDO sanctioned, WDF sanctioned, but not Dirt Talk sanctioned, right?
Right.
I mean, these tournaments don't seem to quite be able to do it because they don't try. They don't try to get every single player to show up.
Right.
Right. The only people that and even, I don't mean to criticize, the North American Championship Tour, but they're not insisting that anybody come. They're not putting pressure on people to show up. And, how many weekends can people travel? How many vacation days do people have? I mean, at some point, realism has to sink in, and we got to say, look, I mean, okay, we have let's say you got 100 top players, whatever. Pick a number, whatever. Whatever the cutoff is, Ray Carver's going to say I'm one below it. If we say there's 100 top players, he's going to say I'm 100 first. Whatever, I don't care. But the idea here is that they show up for these tournaments, right? And there's got to be ways to pressure them to do it.
Right, but I mean, even if you
2 years, I want a 2 year commitment.
If you get 70 out of the 100,
it's still pretty good.
That's really good.
Yeah, 70 will give you a great tournament.
Yeah,
and then you have to let other people play into it if they want. Right? They have to have that opportunity to compete with the best, but the best have to be there.
Yes.
Right? I want a 2 year commitment.
You can't get 40 out of 100.
I want a 2 year commitment from every single person who considers himself a top player that they will attend these 3 tournaments for the next 2 years.
Exactly.
And I want that commitment with absolutely no dates set for anything.
Well, that's
right. You see what I'm saying?
This is just in theory right now.
Well,
but
no,
yes,
but in theory,
concept,
if you got,
the
I
concept
want,
is right.
Somebody has to do this. Somebody has to go to the players.
Yeah.
I've been saying this on this show forever because I consider this a player show, right? But I mean, the players have responsibility for this too. Everybody wants to have great tournaments to go to, but I'm not going to go until they're great. Well, okay, that doesn't fly with me.
It's,
you
have to make them great.
You got people busting their butts to put these things on. You owe it to show up.
Yes, right.
Right? And all these top players need to make a commitment. I will show up for these. And the penalties are going to be, when it does get going, then you're not going to be able to play. Mm-hmm. Right? You want to go, play the Diddle Tour, you're going to be stuck on it.
Right. Well, we mentioned that
right.
a few months ago, too. It's the same thing.
Let's just be done
if you sign up for it, then if you, 2 years from now, you pay the penalty if...
Well, yeah. I mean, and I don't think that that's banning anybody. It's kind of like, look, there's a notion, there's something called sweat equity. You got all these people putting all this effort into doing something, and then people at the aren't going to do anything, and then they're just going to walk in and be like, oh, hey, this is great, and they don't do anything. I mean, it must be nice, So I don't know. We'll have to figure something out. Let's talk soft tip. Let's talk the soft tip.
The World Championships.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the list. Okay, now I showed you this format, right? What is the deal with this? Now, here's how they work it. They have basically 48 seeded players, right? That are gonna play on Sunday in a bracket of 64. So the last 16 spots are going to be filled by another, I guess, separate tournament on Saturday with 50 some people. And it's all based on, how many points you got in the 8 stages prior to the grand final, right? So but the way they're working it is if you're a top 16 seed, you get 2 buys. You get a buy out of the round of 64 and a buy out of the round of 32.
Right.
If you're seeded 17 to 32, you get a buy out of the round of 64, and you don't have to play until I've never seen.
Technically, you get 3 buys because you get a buy out of to get 264.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you want to count that
Right.
separate tournament as something, I mean, what do you think of that format?
I don't like it.
What is it that you don't like?
I think it's a tournament and everybody should play.
You don't.
I don't think you should be automatic. I mean, just you're automatically in the top 32
Yeah.
for out of 128 or whatever it is. To get, just because you're in the top 16, you're automatically. I don't know. I just don't like it. I think if you're going to have a tournament where there's going to be 100 to 128 people in there, everybody should play everybody, or however the draw works out.
I don't know how they came up with this because the way they run their stages aren't seeded. When you play in the Darts Live world stage, you do a count up game. You play 2 count up games. You take your high score, and that's your seeding for the day. Whereas this thing is like a completely different animal. Right, I guess if you want to reward the people that are, playing your tour the most often, or in those 8 stages, the people that are doing the best, I get that. I get that you should have seeding, but to give you 2 buys,
what are you rewarding?
I'm not sure it
with?
helps anyway.
What's the reward? It's the World Championships. It's your biggest. Is it not your biggest tournament of the year?
It's a very strange.
You should have everybody.
Format.
You should have everybody playing in the tournament. That's it. It's your biggest tournament of the year. Everybody that's been involved with it whatsoever has a chance, but you don't give that chance when you just limit. When all of a sudden you make the top 16 people automatically into the top 32.
Maybe Rob Heckman will listen to the show and he'll send me an email with the rationale. I mean, what it looks like basically is they're rewarding the people that play the most stages and do the best in the stages, which is fine. But I'm not sure what kind of reward they're giving them. I mean, if you look at the top 16 guys, you got some great players. Paul Lim, Lawrence Illigan are the top 2 seeds. Scotty Kirchner is the 6th seed. And Stephen Bunting's the 10 seed. Ben Dersch is the 11 seed. Who does 11? 11 plays, 12 plays 5.
Yes.
11 plays 4, 10 plays 3. Who does 6 play? 9?
6 plays 11.
6 plays 11. So Kirchner and Ben Dersch are in the same bracket anyway. So right there, because they're taking bets on this.
Right.
And it's like, okay, this is the messiest format I've ever seen. To be honest with you, I've played plenty of tournaments where I had to play in the first round. I had a bye, and I had to play somebody who had a warm-up round before me, and that never seems to go well. Like I always start a little bit behind because the other guy's a little more warmed up. Here you got people that are going to play a day, right, a day earlier than you, and then at least one match before you. How does that help you? Where you're getting a guy who now has momentum, rhythm, he's got his nerves worked out and stuff, and you have to start cold in a format that's kind of a coin flip to begin with. I mean, I don't see how this is that great of an advantage.
You think that's going to affect Paul Lim or Royden Lamb or Lawrence Illigan?
Depends who they play in the first round, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to play somebody that's already won a couple of matches and maybe already on a roll, and
I
you're
don't know.
starting from a standing start.
I think if you're in the top 16 and you look at it and you're in this tournament and you're automatically in the top 32, I don't think you care that you didn't get a warm-up match.
You don't think you
as
care?
a player?
Yeah.
I'm
all
think
about fairness. I mean, I'm not sure
I
it's
think
an
you
advantage.
sit there and all of a sudden you're in the top 32. It's the less games you have to win.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of the thing. If what I say is true and that this format is kind of coin flip city, then the less matches you play, the better off you are,
Yeah.
right? The one less coin flip that you have a chance
Exactly.
of losing. So in that sense, it's a tremendous advantage to be in the top 16. But you've got some interesting names here for people that, especially the people that listen in England and stuff. We have to give some people for them to root for. Larry Butler's at 46, Daryl Fitton's at 43, Richard Espinoza, an American, at 35, Chris White's at 27. See, he'd be a good bet, I bet. Big Dog and Ray
Van
Carver
Duerson,
are 18 and
19,
19. Yeah. Big Dog. It's Randy Van Duerson.
Right.
Tony Martin's at 13. He's won a lot of matches in these things, and he's really getting into soft tip. I'll bet you he's practicing. Then the Filipino guys that always win, Lawrence Illigan, Ronald Briones, Christian Perez, they've all done well. But we're not going to have – you're not going to really know who's playing who
Yeah, it's right.
until after that
Until they
Saturday.
read everybody out.
So who you want to pick? Let's pick 3 guys that we think will do the best. Let's pick the 3 Americans that will do the best. Why
3
don't we do that?
Americans that will do the best.
Yeah.
Um,
And I have a head start on you because I actually talked to Larry Butler today.
right.
Right. He likes his position.
Well, that's what I
I'm
was going
not
to say
sure.
because you told me
Well,
about that too. But
Right, but see, he's looking at playing the 3 seed in like the round of 32 if he
Mm-hmm.
gets that far. And who wants to play the 3 seed in the round of 32? And wouldn't you rather play him later, I would think, right?
yeah,
So I don't know, but Larry can handle it. So I like Larry as one of the Americans. And then who's had the best year? I mean, Ben Durst and
Kirchner.
Larry split the Americas tour.
right.
Kirchner's played solid all year long, but I don't know that he's really played. Did he win the first one? That was back in April. I don't know. This is tough.
I can't remember that far away.
Well, let's
back.
I'll take Larry. How about I take Larry and Benny and God, talk about taking all chalk, and then I'll have people that won't talk to me.
Right.
No, you know what? I'll take Larry, Chris White, and somebody else.
I thought you said we were best Americans.
Well, Chris lives in
I know.
California.
I'm just kidding.
He's listed as
He's
a
listed as
Canadian. on
Canadian,
there. Well,
but-
I don't. You know,
No.
I never did get
We'll
a
consider
clear
him a-
answer on that. Can we just consider him an American?
Yeah, we
so I
can.
don't have to turn the page.
Right.
Okay, that's good. I don't know.
I'll go with Big Dog.
You take Big Dog,
Sure.
and who else? Or are we doing this together?
No, okay.
Are we doing this
I'll go
together?
with Kirchner, Big Dog, and I'll take Larry Butler because you told me about your conversation with him
So who are you taking? Larry, Big Dog, and
Kirchner.
Kirchner. All right, I'll take Benny, Larry, and Chris.
Okay.
Chris White. So book that.
And
We'll
if you
see how
win,
that-
there's an asterisk because Chris White could be Canadian.
Really? Well, and
No, I'm
you
just
know
kidding.
what? We're not even talking about the guys that are
That could
playing
get in
on Saturday
Yeah,
that could still get
it
in.
could be a completely different tournament.
We might have to come back to this next week. Okay, that's what we have anyway for now. So I don't know. This format, when I looked at it, the more I looked at it, the more I just started just being like, huh?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Why can't you just seed them all and
And have
one
have your nice
plays,
big major
128.
tournament.
yeah? I
Have
don't.
your big national championship tournament with everybody in it.
I'm a little confused why this tournament is set up the way it is. It looks like the BDO. When the BDO does the Winmau Masters and like their top 8 guys basically don't play until top 16 while 500 other people play 7 rounds to fill in the bracket. What is that?
That just seems
What
crazy.
is that? That's just I don't even know what to call that. What tournament do people do that?
Asinine?
I didn't say that. Did you say that?
I
or
did.
is the chat room saying that?
No, I did.
Oh, okay. It's an interesting chat room tonight. A little bit on the quiet side, but I can't look at it. I'll lose my train of thought, which I've done 10 times already tonight. So next week we'll give you results on the DPNY women.
Yes.
We'll preview the DPNY men. We'll start our preview of the PDC. And we didn't even talk about Taylor and Van Gerwen.
no, we didn't get to it.
What did you think of the stats there in that match? For the people
Well,
that don't know, Taylor had won 20-some TV matches in a row and lost the final to Van Gerwen, and actually
Their
was
stats
ahead.
were well. Their darts,
Yeah, we
their-
talked about that.
their average per game was right on
Yeah, they both averaged almost
102.
identical scores.
102 point something. But
Right. And what I basically thought I told you was Van Gerwen outscored him just enough to get
Right.
an extra
he got extra doubles at every
8 darts at a double.
extra,
Extra. He had 8 more darts at a double than
which
Phil
is
did.
for 18 matches, for 18 legs.
Yeah. That's one every other leg.
Right.
Yeah. And then,
And he must have hit him.
well, all you got to do is hit half of them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you're up 4 legs. He won by 2 breaks.
Yeah.
So pretty close match, pretty compelling. To be honest, you know, I
The
looked at
stats are really, really compelling. If you look at him, it's really kind of amazing.
I mean, you know, Van Gerwen started throwing 11 darters, and you know that's hard to beat. You know, I mean, to be honest, you know, I watched the beginning of the final, and Taylor didn't look quite up to snuff. He looked like
Taylor only broke him once.
yeah, Taylor just didn't really look like he was really into it. I know that sounds strange. I mean, he was kind of like robotically playing great, but he wasn't playing like inspired. And that's the thing about youth. You know, that Van Gerwen kid, you know, he gets on a roll and you could just see his eyes light up, and you can almost, coming out of the computer screen, you feel like this energy.
Mm-hmm.
Where Phil looks a little bit flat, Van Gerwen just looks amped up. And maybe he's drinking Monster, you know, I don't know, or Red Bull or something. I don't know. I heard Taylor drinks black tea. I mean, it's just sort of a funny dichotomy watching those two guys play. You know, I mean, Van Gerwen's the same age as Taylor's kids.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just the guy's got to start feeling like a grandfather at some point. But the only thing, and we'll end on this note, the only thing is that, you know, when it comes to, you know, betting on the World Championship, and, you know, people are starting to do their World Championship pools and stuff like that, you know, I think, you know, the price on Taylor and Van Gerwen changed.
Sure.
With that one
Sure it
match.
did.
Because before that, you know, it was almost the odds for Taylor winning were so astronomical, you almost couldn't bet on him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody's just looking for an upset. We'll do our picks and,
Plus,
and our pool
plus he
next
beat him
week, but-
11-7 too. It wasn't. I mean, if it's
No, he just like blew by him.
if
like,
it's close, yeah. But now you're talking. I agree with you. I think they change.
well, plus they
dramatically.
do sets too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's the other thing that is just, you know, here you got the soft tip World Championship with this kind of wacky buy system, and then, you know, the PDC World Championship is set play, and you almost never play that anymore. You played at the Grand Prix and the UK Open. Is that it? The only time you play sets anymore? I mean, it's kind of weird. The championships are set play, but then that's the only time you ever play
Right.
them. The PDPA never should have changed it to just a straight, you know, race to 6. They should have left the sets. I think that would have been better for everybody, especially in terms of preparing for this tournament. So I've criticized the PDC. That's who have I not criticized today? If you're listening
we
to
only
the
had
show,
more time.
yeah, if we're listening to the show and I haven't criticized you yet, my apologies. I will get to you next week. Thanks everybody for listening. Sorry we started late. Just unavoidable technical issues, but just a heads up now. We'll have some like really cool changes coming up on the show, starting hopefully next week. That I think you guys are going to enjoy. You got anything?
We'll remind you again next week, but we're on for the next 2 Wednesdays. But following Christmas and following New Year's, we will be on Thursday night.
Yeah, well, so the show will go on, but it'll be on Thursdays after Christmas
After
and
each
after New
holiday.
Year's. And then when we get back to 2014, which I don't even want to say out loud because I can't believe it's 2014 already, we'll be back to the to the
Our
Wednesday
first
thing.
show on 2014 will be on a Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, we'll have a lot to say about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks everybody for listening. We'll hang around in the chat room for a little bit for the after party. Other than that, we will dart talk to We'll dart talk to you next
later.
week, next Wednesday, everybody. So thanks. Take care.